Hi everyone, it's Elizabeth from Elpis Astrology at elpisastrology.com. Thanks for joining me today. So this is going to be my take on the astrology for January 2026. Can you believe it? And I have done other videos on a general overview of 2026, the astrology, and I will be releasing all my individual signs. I spent quite a lot of time going for each sign for 2026, but they will be released after this video. Just watch out for them, right? So we've got this full moon coming up here in Cancer, and I think it's going to be bringing in some big, huge spotlights to various people as well as various countries. What are the countries? The countries are the USA and Venezuela. What's the person? Prince William in particular. I'll get into the details here in a minute. So this full moon on the 3rd of January is at 2:04 a.m., and that's Pacific Standard Time, at 13 degrees, Cancer at 2 minutes. So for anything to really have a big effect for you, we're really looking at, I take kind of a degree or two on either side. So that's like 12, 13, 14 degrees of Cancer. This could be a big moon for you. And although we talk about full moons being endings, it can also be a culmination of some sort, a natural ending of something happening, right? And when we look at Cancer as a sign, we're talking about compassion, intuition, safety, nurturing, as well as on a more global sense, our homeland. So these may all be featured to us individually, but also on a collective level too. Now this full moon, 12 hours after the full moon, will go on to conjunct Jupiter in Cancer, right? We've got Jupiter still in Cancer too for the next few months. And so this is bringing, to me, it is even bringing a bigger emphasis to what is going to be going on around this full moon. And again, I think having looked at this a number of times, I really feel that our individual homelands will be brought into view. In particular, we will have both the USA and Venezuela being brought into view here. And there may even be some regime changes in both those countries. Why? Because their suns are being highlighted here by the full moon itself. If we look at the USA Sibley chart, that moon is at 13 degrees of Cancer. If we look at Venezuela's, it's at almost 13, 12 minutes, 12 degrees, some minutes. So both of these countries are being highlighted because it's the sun. And when we generalize to a collective, the sun can actually represent, the person who rules that country, right? And in this case, it's two presidents. But we also have Prince William being highlighted here too. Now, he was born on a new moon eclipse, not at 13 degrees of Cancer, but certainly just at a few degrees. Let me just look at his chart here. Yeah, his moon is at 4 Cancer and his sun is at 0. Well, that is where on the full moon in Cancer, we're going to have Mercury. Now, what's important in his chart are his north nodes. They're at 13 degrees of Cancer. So this is a big spotlight being put on him too. Now, royalty tends to be, working very much behind the scenes as opposed to announcing things right away. But certainly there seems to be some important announcement that actually Prince William may have. Now, it is in his 7th house, both his sun, moon, as well as his north nodes. And so this certainly is referring to the people of England. So there may be some announcement that is going to be made regarding his role in the UK. And certainly with his north nodes of destiny being highlighted here by the full moon, there's some ending that's happening, but potentially some announcement about a new beginning because his sun and moon are being aspected here by Mercury, transiting Mercury at the full moon. Yeah, now the other thing that we've got happening here are the Venus, the Sun, and Mars will be conjunct the sun itself. Now, at a full moon, we know that the sun is in the opposite sign, so that means the sun is in Capricorn. And so this also, to me, talks to, I thought that Venus together with the sun and then Mars is an activation of diplomacy of some sort. Now, this is going to be on the world stage where, those that are holder of the rules and regulations are getting together here to talk diplomacy and to agree on some action. The actual action may not happen to the new moon, which I'll speak about next in Capricorn itself. The nice thing about this new moon is that that moon will be sextiling the transiting north nodes in Pisces. So when I wrap all this up, it says to me that there's new opportunities here for some homelands, in particular the USA and Venezuela, as well as Prince William, to have a new destiny path laid out for them around this full moon on the 3rd of January. On the 10th of January, we have that Venus going on to join up with Mars at 20 degrees of Capricorn. It will be opposite Jupiter at 20 degrees of Cancer. Now, for those folks that have, say, something around either 20 degrees of Capricorn or Cancer, this could activate a new start in, say, a serious love relationship. The Capricorn part of it really lends itself to a serious, considered, maybe even older relationship could come about here. And with Jupiter being in opposition, this actually just brings and sprinkles some nice pixie dust all over that potential relationship. Now, the other thing this could bring in too, Venus can also represent money. And so there may be some changes on the global markets with regards to money, and especially with Jupiter in opposition to it, it will be bringing a big spotlight to it as well. Now, on the 18th of Jan, we have that new moon that I spoke about. It's the new moon in Capricorn. It will be at 28 degrees of Capricorn, 43 minutes at 11:52 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Now, this new moon will be conjunct Mercury and also not far off Mars. So going back to that full moon that I spoke about with the diplomacy and all that, trying to work things out. This now has Mercury and Mars being aspected here by a new start. This says, okay, all engines go. So this then says to me at the new moon on the 18th of Jan that there will be some forward movement with whatever came about was emphasized at the full moon on the 3rd of Jan. Certainly, Mercury and Mars together says sudden news that talks about movement forward. And in Capricorn, we're speaking about, things that are rules, regulations, those that have control over rules and regulations, that type of thing. Now, Saturn does rule that new moon. And so we'd say, well, what is happening with Saturn? Well, nicely, Saturn is actually sextiling Uranus at this time. And so that says to me, again, that sextile says opportunities to change the rules, change the regulations. And Mercury and Mars will also be sextiling that Saturn too. And so this is really positive new starts as far as I'm concerned. If you've got something, say, around that 27, 28 degree of Capricorn, certainly you can have some kind of big new start here of movement forward. Again, maybe an opportunity to break with some rule or some obstacle, maybe that has some delay that has been stopping you from moving forward with something. And this can, generalize to a whole bunch of different areas of your life, depending where this new moon at 28, almost 29 degrees of Capricorn falls in your chart. We also have Venus that, although it's at 1 degrees and some minutes of Aquarius, will be hovering quite close to Pluto. And so this also can emphasize, so we're talking about here 1, 2 degrees of Aquarius. If you do have something at that degree or those degrees, this also could indicate a very transformational love situation. But on a more collective global level, we could be looking at money changes with regards to transformation, right? A transformation of our monies. And with it in Aquarius, this is certainly breaking free from tradition, but it is also suggesting that there's going to be a lot of chatter about it. Maybe we're going to hear things over the internet, podcast, YouTube type things as well. Any kind of news could be coming through here as well. And why do I say that? Well, because when we look at the ruler of Aquarius is Uranus. Uranus is many times looked at the higher octave of Mercury. So I feel that there's this sudden transformational information that's going to be coming in with regards to our monies. But hey, this could also feature a woman or women at this time too. And this whole idea of breaking free with Aquarius, right, with Uranus ruling Aquarius, there could be some breaking free of some sort with regards to a woman or women. We've got a really nice Sun Mercury Cazimi that's going to be happening on the 21st of January. It will be at 1 degree, approximately 1 degree of Aquarius, and that'll be widely, of course, conjunct Pluto, which is in Aquarius, around 2 degrees. And so this says on the 21st of Jan, some sudden news will be coming in that will be important. Now, the sudden news will have something to do with, I would say, a freedom-seeking type energy. Sudden, unusual information comes in at this time. A reveal happens that we've been waiting for with regards to information that's important to us. Now, we will have Mars at 28 degrees of Capricorn. So it is a few degrees off that Pluto now in 2 degrees of Aquarius. But wow, the tentacles are out there with that Mars too. So I say that Mars is giving a push or energy to that Cazimi. So this could be a lot of news comes in, and a lot of news that allows that freedom-seeking energy to now move forward. Venus will be at 5 degrees of Aquarius at that 21st of Jan Cazimi. And it will also be in orb of Pluto too, now at 3 degrees plus of Aquarius. Interesting, King Charles has his ascendant at 5 degrees of Leo. So it says to me that Venus is going to be opposite of King Charles' ascendant. So in many ways, that Venus, transiting Venus in Aquarius at 5 degrees, is really going to be vibrating that whole axis of the descendant ascendant, but in particular his ascendant, which is a very personal angle in your chart. It speaks directly to you. Now, it'll be a little while before Pluto, transiting Pluto, will be opposing King Charles' ascendant. That will be happening also this year in 2026. It does bode, or it does actually suggest that there's going to be some big transformation in his life as well. The other thing that's going to be happening for King Charles at that Cazimi, so he may have some important announcements to make here too. That Cazimi, I'm just looking at the chart here, and you can see it up here yourself on the screen, has the Sun and Mercury at around 1 degree of Aquarius. And of course, if we look at King Charles's chart, we know that his moon is at 0 degrees of Taurus. His north nodes are at 3 degrees of Taurus. This is all in his 10th house. And so this Cazimi squares both his natal moon as well as his north nodes in the 10th house. So I would say also that at this Cazimi, Charles is probably going to have some important announcements to make, maybe as a result of his health becoming so much better. He and Camilla may decide to step down in some way or make some major adjustments in the monarchy that he has to make at this time. We also have Zelenskyy in the Ukraine, has both his Venus and his Sun at 5 Aquarius. So he will also be influenced this year by Pluto on top of his Venus as well as his Sun. Major transformation for him at this time. So that Venus that I spoke about, that's at 5 degrees, transiting Venus at 5 degrees of Aquarius, at that Cazimi on the 21st of Jan, that is going to be on top of his own Venus and his Sun. I would say this bodes well for Zelenskyy. We could say that that Venus could be encouraging diplomatic relations in his favor. Well, finally, on the 27th of January, we're going to have transiting Neptune, leaving Pisces forever, at least in our lifetime, and moving to 0 degrees of Aries. It will join up with Saturn around the 20th of February, 2026, and start a whole new cycle. I'll talk about that in my February video. But speaking about February, let's take a peek at it. As I mentioned, we're going to have Saturn exactly conjunct Neptune at 0 degrees and 44 minutes of Aries. We're going to have our first eclipse. Can you believe it? Yeah, our first eclipse is going to be at 28, almost 29 degrees of Aquarius. We'll have a Mercury retrograde start in Pisces. We're going to have a full moon in Leo. And then we're going to have Mercury conjunct Venus in Pisces. All right, let's now move on to look at your individual sun and or ascendant. You pick. I suggest you start with your ascendant and then move on to listen to or watch your sun sign to add a bit more information in that. So Gemini, that full moon in Cancer falls in your 2nd house, but hey, you've also got your 8th house lit up too because the sun is in the opposite to the full moon itself. So that'll be the 8th house. And it's Capricorn. But not only do you have the sun there, Gemini, you have also Venus and Mars there. So the Venus and Mars is certainly asking you to take some action here regarding your investments, action regarding 401ks, any kind of shared resources. So both the 2nd house and the 8th house are money houses, generally speaking. But let's go back to that 2nd house. So this could be you ending a job. That could be what happens here with the full moon on the 3rd of Jan. That's at 13 degrees of Cancer. You could also end a way of valuing yourself, where you decide to turn the tables here and say, I'm not getting enough value for what I'm doing here in this job. This has to change. And maybe you start negotiating with others that hold the purse strings. But overall, this is an illumination of what you're doing in your job here, how you're earning your money. Now, the other thing that it could bring in is you look carefully at your finances and how you're spending your money, and you come up with a budget. This would be an excellent time to do it at that full moon, that you change your spending habits. You could also, like I said, make decisions, say with a financial advisor, to put more money into your 401k or your investments at this time. All right, so now let's go to the 17th, 18th of January when we got the new moon towards the end of Capricorn. That is in your 8th house. Supported for that moon and sun in the 8th house is Mercury and Mars. So you're going to be making some announcements, maybe signing some papers of some sort with regards to a new start in your finances that you save. So this is maybe as a result of you getting more money in a job or requesting more money in a job at the early part of January. You take that money and you put it in your 401k. You take that money and the advice you were given and put this in some investments of some sort. But the other thing this could all for January represent is some Geminis deciding to retire. And the whole process of retiring gets activated at that full moon on the 3rd of Jan, with a new start happening around the 17th, 18th of January. Now, for those folks that have, say, an ascendant or their sun is around 0 to 1 degree of Gemini, you're going to be, at the second half of January, you're going to have not only the sun, but all the interpersonal planets trining that, because you are looking at Aquarius being activated here, and that forms a trine with you because you're both air signs. But the only other thing that it does is all those, the sun and all the inner planets, after they all hit 0 degrees of Aquarius, they go on to conjunct transformational Pluto. So that second half of the month could be very, very busy for you, Gemini. Yeah, I mean, you could really be doing, let me just see here. Yeah, I mean, you could be, I'm thinking maybe even planning some travel of some sort, or maybe your job, a new job that you're taking up, involves you doing some kind of travel, or involves you connecting with foreign people or foreign lands. Yeah, I mean, all that could be up for you too, with the influence of the whole pinging of the sun and all the inner planets in Aquarius with Pluto. Now, like I said, that new moon in your 8th house in Capricorn could really provide you some necessary strategy for saving money and for putting money into investments. I mean, the other thing the 8th house represents too is your sex life. There could be a new start there. And it also involves your psychological part of your mind. And so there may be some Geminis that take up, psychological therapy. Maybe take up psychological therapy in terms of an actual job. You become a therapist. That could be up here too, full time. And that's how you earn your money. Take care, Gemini. All right, everyone. I really am very optimistic about not only this next year, 2026, but also for the years to come. 2026 is going to be setting up some really positive scaffolding in our lives. Now I'm talking about those outer planets mainly coming in to really give all of us some solid foundations. It's the moving of the chess pieces, but it's moving them in a way that's going to benefit us. And I think we're all going to be benefiting from new ways of structuring our lives, remaining open to big change in our lives that are also positive, and some freedom happening with regards to what we want to do in our lives. So look forward to that. All signs, right? As I mentioned, my next lot of videos are going to be for my individual 2026 astrology signs. I spent a lot of time on these. I hope you enjoy them. Leave comments. There's lots more coming my way after this video, so stay tuned. And I wish everybody lots of love and lots of happiness in 2026. Thank you for all your support in 2025. I'm looking forward to engaging with you lots more in 2026. Bye for now.